Alright, welcome to the next tutorial I'm doing on Nautilus by Yvette Young. When I did the cover for this song, that you may or may not have watched, I kind of based it off of the way that they played it on a video with her band Covet. And I'll go ahead and link that right here for you guys if you want to see that. And also here's the cover that I did right here if you want to see that. So the tuning for this, I actually poked around on the comments on the first video that she released when it's just her guitar playing. And that's actually where I figured out how to play the song from. She actually commented what the tuning is, so I actually know that for sure, which helps me a lot. But anyway, it's D for the 6th string. So that's 2 half steps down. A for the 5th string, so that's just normal. D for the 4th string, so that's also just normal. F sharp for the 3rd string, which is half a step down. I believe this is A for the 2nd string. Yeah, that's A. And E for the 1st string. Alright, so anyway, for the first part, you hold the 5th fret on the 6th string, and you hold the 5th fret on the 3rd string. And what you do is you play the 6th string, then the 4th string, then the 3rd, and then the 2nd. And then you just let that ring out for a little bit. So that's... And then you drop the your middle finger off of the 3rd string, so that's open, and you move your index finger down 1 fret to the 4th string, or the 4th fret of the 6th string. And you play the 6th string, and then the 3rd, no, the 4th, and then the 3rd. So. And then you just repeat that a little bit, and then you get into the actual first part, I guess. I call it part 2, but it's kind of like the very beginning. This is only like a few seconds into the song. So that's just... So for the second part, you play the same thing that I just showed you. 5th on the 6th string, open 4th, 5th on the 3rd string, and open 2nd. And then you pull off the 2 5th frets that you're holding, so that's you're pulling off the 3rd and the 6th strings to open. And then you hammer on. It's kind of hammering on and kind of left hand tapping. I don't know when the actual like border becomes tapping or hammering on, but you do that on the 5th fret of the 6th string again, and the 5th fret of the 4th string. Then you slide those 2 up to the 7th fret, and then you pull them off to open again. So that little bit is... Then here is when the actual tapping comes in. You tap the 9th fret on the 6th string, and you tap the 7th fret on the 3rd string at the same time. Then you hammer on with your left hand onto the 8th fret of the 3rd string still. So that's... I usually try to let all of these ring out, so I keep my index finger on the 6th string. But you tap with the right hand onto the 9th fret of the 2nd string. So... And then with your left hand, you tap onto the 9th or the 7th fret on the 4th string. And then your right hand taps onto the 9th fret of the 4th string. So that's... And then with your left hand, you tap onto the 5th fret of the 1st string. And then your right hand taps the 9th fret on the 1st string. And I'm not sure if she's trying to tap the 9th fret on the 2nd string as well. I just add that in just because it goes with it, basically. And then you slide up. I'm not sure exactly where to. I just kind of slide wherever my hand decides to go, really. It might actually just be the first fret that you slide up to, but sometimes it seems like she's going just a slight bit over before she lets go of that, so do with that as you will. So after that, you hold the 5th fret on the 6th string and on the 1st string, and you play those two, like actually play them this time. And then you pull off the 1st string to open. And then you tap with your left hand onto the 5th fret on the 6th string. And at the same time as when you tap that, you use your right hand to tap onto the 12th fret of the 5th and the 4th strings. So that's... And you really want to make sure that your left hand really resonates that 5th fret on the 2nd string, because you slide that up to the 7th fret. And at least my right hand is a little bit stronger when it comes to tapping, so... And there's 2 strings that are being tapped, so that's really hard to hear this over this. So you really want to make sure that this actually gets through well. So that little tidbit is. And from there you pull off the 2nd string to open. And then you use your left hand to tap onto the 7th fret of the 3rd string. And then you hammer onto the 8th. And then you use the right hand to tap onto the 10th. So all on the 3rd string. Then from here, you hold the 9th fret on the 6th string and 9th fret on the 2nd string, and you play them. Then you pull off the 2nd string to open. And then you tap onto the 12th fret of the 4th string with the right hand. And then you tap onto the 12th fret on the 2nd string. So, and then you do the same thing, except instead of 9th frets on the 6th and the 2nd string, it's the 7th. But you do the exact same thing other than that. So that's a lot of info that I just threw at you, but I'll go ahead and play the whole thing slowly real quick. So after you do that, then you repeat it 7 more times to make that 8 times that you're playing it total. And then you go on to the next part. So for the next part, you hold the 5th fret on the 6th and 1st strings, and you play them. And then you pull off the 1st string to open. And then you tap onto the 12th of the 3rd string with your right hand. And then you tap onto the 12th of the 2nd string. And you just repeat that 4 times. So what you want to do is basically, at least this is how I've been doing it. I've been using my ring finger to actually play the 1st string, and then my thumb for the 6th string. And then I use my index and my middle to tap. So then, even though they're on there, I still have that ring finger on the ready. So you repeat that 4 times. And then you hold the 7th fret on the 6th and the 2nd strings, and you play those. And then you pull off the 2nd. And then you tap onto the 12th of the 4th string. And then you tap onto the 12th of the 3rd. And then you repeat that a little bit 4 times. You move your left hand down to the 4th frets, still the same strings, and you play them. Pull off the 2nd string. And then this time you tap onto the 12th of the 3rd string, and then the 2nd string. So that's... Then you repeat that 4 times. And then you move up to the 5th fret with your left hand, still the same strings. Pull off the 2nd. And then you tap the 9th of the 4th fret, and then the 9th of the 2nd. And repeat that 4 times. So. You So basically, you just repeat that entire thing 4 times, and on the final repetition, you don't tap that last string because that's where you play the first note of the next part, which I'll show you right now. So what you do for this part is you play the 6th string open, and then you tap onto the 5th with the left hand, or I guess hammer on. Too many tappings in this song. Then you tap with the left hand, because you haven't played this string yet, the 7th fret on the 4th string. And then you tap with the right hand onto the 9th of the 4th string still. And then you tap with the right hand onto the 9th of the 2nd string. And at the same time as when you tap that one, you tap with the left hand onto the 5th of the 1st string. So that's kind of an easy way to think about this part. Is it's kind of like that Simon game where it does one thing, and then it adds on a little bit after that, and then it adds on another thing, and then another thing. Except you're doing essentially the same thing, but with sections of the song. So you do that little bit that I showed you, and then you do it again, except you add on tapping onto the 5th fret of the 5th string with your left hand, and then tapping the 9th frets on the 4th and the 2nd and the 5th on the 1st at the same time. So that, and then the one with the thing added on is. And then you repeat that again with another added part. It's and then you tap onto the 5th of the 5th string. And then you tap the 5th of the 1st string and the 7th of the 4th and the 2nd strings at the same time. So that third one is. And then you do it again and add on one last bit. You tap the 5th of the 5th string, and then you tap the 9th fret of the 1st and 2nd string with the right hand. So that's. And then you repeat that whole thing. So it's like this. And then right here, you play the 5th string open. Then you hammer onto the 2nd fret. And then you tap with the left hand on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Then you tap with the right hand onto the 7th of the 4th string. And then you tap onto the 7th of the 3rd string. Then you slide that up 1 fret to the 8th. And then you tap with your left. I usually use my pinky for this to keep everything in the same position, but the 5th fret on the 1st string. And then you tap onto the 7th of the 1st string. So that's. And then you do the same thing, except the last one is the 9th fret of the 1st string that you're tapping onto. So. And then you do the same thing again, up until when you tap that 5th fret on the 1st string with the left hand. So it goes. And then from here you tap onto the 9th of the 4th string. And then you tap the 9th of the 2nd string. And then you slide either just the 2nd string or the 4th string along with it up to the 12th. So. And then you tap with the left hand the 7th of the 4th string. Then you hammer on to the 9th, still the same string. And then you tap with the right hand to the 12th of the 3rd string. And then you tap the 12th of the 1st string. And then you slide that up to the 14th. And then you pull off the 1st string to open. what you do is you repeat that 4 times, and then that takes you into the next part. So I'll go ahead and play that whole thing slowly real quick for you. So for this next part, you hold the 5th fret on the 6th, the 3rd, and the 2nd strings, and you play the 6th, then the 4th, then the 3rd, and then the 2nd. You do them really quick, so it's basically a chord for the most part. Then you pull off the 2nd string to open. So. And then your right hand taps the 9th of the 4th string. And then your left hand taps the 5th of the 2nd and the 4th strings. Or, sorry, the 5th strings. And then it slides up 2 frets to the 7th. And then it pulls off. So that's... And then your left hand taps onto the 9th of the 2nd and the 6th strings. And then your right hand taps onto the 12th of the 2nd and the 3rd strings. Or, no, the 2nd and the 4th string, sorry. And then your left hand taps what just tapped again. And then it goes down 2 frets. Same strings though, and it taps those. So that's... Then your right hand taps just the 12th fret on the 1st string. And then the 12th fret on the 3rd string. And then your left hand taps the 8th fret on the 3rd string. And I don't know if it's actually tapping it or if it's pulling off your right hand to the 8th. It kind of looks like she's tapping it though in her guitar only video. So I just been tapping it. So that's... Then you play the 9th on the 6th string and the 10th on the 1st string. And then you tap with your left hand onto the 9th of the 2nd string. Then your right hand taps the 12th of the 2nd string. And then it taps the 12th of the 4th string. And then slides up 2 frets. So... And then your left hand goes down 2 frets and taps the 7th of the 6th and the 2nd strings. And then your right hand taps onto the 9th, the 9th fret of the 2nd and the 4th strings. And then your left hand taps onto the 5th of the 6th and the 3rd strings. And then you play the 2nd string open. And you play the 5th on the 3rd string. You just still be keeping your left hand on that tapped position. So, and then you play the 5th on the 1st string. Slide that up to the 7th. Then your left hand taps the 7th of the 2nd and the 5th strings. Then you slide that down. And then you pull that off to open. So that little bit is... Then you hold the 9th fret on the 6th and the 2nd strings. And you play the 6th. Then the 4th. And then the 2nd. And then the 4th again. And then you move them down to the 7th frets. And you play the 6th string. And then you play the 4th. And you quickly tap with the right hand onto the 12th fret. Still on the 4th string. And then you tap onto the 12th fret of the 2nd string. And then you pull those off. And you should still have your left hand in that last tapped position. So then the fourth string is getting pulled off to open, and the second string is getting pulled off to the seventh that you should be holding. And then you pull off your left hand strings to open. And then you tap with your left hand the 5th fret of the 6th and the 3rd strings. And then you tap the 9th of the 2nd and the 4th strings. And then you tap those last ones with the left hand again. And then you tap those ones with the right hand again. And then you play, it's either the 6th string alone, or it's the 6th and the 5th string, or even as far as the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings, but I usually just go with the first two, the 6th and the 5th strings open. And then you use your left hand to tap onto the 2nd fret of the 6th and the 4th strings. And then your right hand comes in and taps the 7th of the 4th string, and then the 7th of the 2nd string. And then you slide that up 2 frets. So with the repetitions, it's a little weird. The first one is exactly like I showed you. And I'll go ahead and play that real quick, just so then you could get a hint of the major part of it. So you play that one, the first one, just like that, and then the second one, when you get to the very last, the last bit of it, right there you add on a little bit. At least she does this in the actual, like, her playing it with her band in the video that I saw. You tap with the right hand onto the 14th fret of the 2nd string. And then you pull that off to the 9th. And then you pull that off to the 7th. And then you pull that off to open. So that little last bit with the added part in is like this. And then you do the first one again without that little added in thing at the end. And then you, for the fourth part, or the fourth time I guess, you play up into the part where you're just playing. You do that, except you start off with that, but you play only the first 3. So the 6th on the, or the 9th on the 6th string, open 4th, and then 9th on the 2nd. And then from there, you skip the playing the 4th again. You just go down to the 7th and you play that on the 6th string. And then you play the 4th, open. And then you tap with the right hand onto the 12th of that. And then your left hand taps onto the 5th of the 2nd string, or sorry, the 7th of the 2nd string. And then your right hand taps onto the 12th of the 2nd string. And then right there, it takes you into the next part. So for the final part, the left hand taps the 5th of the 6th and the 2nd strings. And the right hand at the same time taps onto the 12th of the 3rd string. So that's. And then you pull off your right hand to open. Then you pull off the 2nd string to open. And then you tap with your left hand onto the 5th of the 3rd string. And then your right hand taps onto the 12th of the 2nd string. So that's. And she tends to cut the last one a little bit short, so there's a little bit of empty space in between. So it's. And then you repeat that 4 times. I'll go ahead and do that slowly. I could be wrong about that empty space. It's kind of hard to tell in both videos. She might pull off that right hand to the 2nd fret or the second string on the right hand to open. And I think sometimes I actually have that ring out by accident, but it kind of goes well with it anyway. So, and I really can't tell which way it is, so I don't think it matters too much unless you're trying to be exactly precise. But if you are, then you could go ahead and look at the video and see if you can figure it out, because I can't. So you do that 4 times, and then you basically just move your left hand up 2 frets and do the same thing. And then right here, things get a little bit different. You move up your left hand to the 9th frets, and you tap the same things that you would. Then you pull off your right hand. Then you pull off your the second string. And then you tap with the right hand. Instead of tapping with the left hand, you tap with the right hand to the 12th of the second string. And then your left hand taps onto the 9th fret of the first string. And for here, I'm pretty positive that that you actually do pull the first string off. So that one is. And then you go back down to the 5th fret with the left hand and do the same thing, except the last note in between the repetitions of that little thing, it changes. So you play it once, just normal, and then you play it again. Except that last one is the 10th fret on the second string, and then you play it normal again, tapping on the 12th fret for the last one. And then you play it, except you tap on the 10th fret of the 3rd string. So that one is actually like this. So you repeat that part 4 times, and after you do that, then you just start doing that last section, and you repeat that 4 times. So the one that's changing the right hand, where you tap and it's on the 5th fret, the left hand, so. And then you start just doing the same thing, except you're only tapping the 10th fret on the 3rd string, and you do that 4 times while you're slowing down. And then you play the 5th fret on the 6th string, open 4th, and 5th fret on the 3rd string for the final chord. So I'll go ahead and do that part just normally, and then I'll repeat it with the final bits added in. So that's the end of the song. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a like. If you want to subscribe to see some more of my stuff, then you could go ahead and click this link and see my channel, and hit that subscribe button. If you want to go ahead and check out the original songs, you could see the one with her band Covet right here, and you can see the one where it's just her on her own playing guitar right here. And if you want to see my cover of the song, which was actually kind of rubbish in my opinion, you could go ahead and click right here. Other than that, if you want to give any suggestions for the next song that I might do, then you could go ahead and do that in the comments section below. If you want to help me out with that, then go ahead and do so. And thanks a lot.